Happy Easter again, everyone. So I thought I'd put up a quick video. I don't know how long this is going to run. I guess a lot of people are at home, obviously, because it's Easter and obviously because of the coronavirus. And many of you probably are playing a lot more guitar or learning the guitar. And so I thought it'd be interesting to talk a little bit about three things I either did wrong or I wish I did right when I first started learning the guitar, and three things I think I did well that helped me progress on the instrument itself. So I think for me, let's start off with the bad things, or the three things I wish I really had done a little bit more of growing up. The first one is music theory. I mean, I know people hate that. They say it's all about playing emotional or playing by ear only. So I think that if you can develop some basic music theory, and by basic, I feel like if you can learn to read music, and most people can if they put the time and effort, there's the Mel Bay book, just basic music theories. If you learn to read the notes, if you learn your time signatures, you kind of learn how to spell out chords. You don't even have to get into what's a ninth, what's an 11th, 13th, and major and minors, but basic music theory is going to help you a lot, and it's going to help you learn the fretboard a lot better. So that's the first thing. I wish I had done a lot more of that. The second thing is, ironically enough, is to listen to more non guitars. When you love this instrument, there's this tendency, if your genre is rock, like it was for me growing up, all I did was just a fair heavy dose of Clapton, Hendrix, God, Ozzy Osbourne, Van Halen. So I was a guitar nut, and that's all I did was listen to a bunch of guitar players. And so what happens is that you begin to just play like everybody else because that's the way they play. They're playing guitar, so you become a copycat. So once you start listening to non-guitar players, so if your genre is jazz and you're listening to Bill Evans, Chick Corea, you're listening to Miles Davis, what happens is that eventually their phraseology, because they approach a horn differently or a piano differently, starts seeping through your playing. So listening to non-guitar players, I think, is really critical for the development of your playing style and stuff. So, and it doesn't have to be jazz. It could be, if you like classical. I mean, I listen to now, everybody listens to Bach and things like that. And I find out I'll stick in some lines on there when I'm soloing. So really get big ears. It's going to help your phraseology if you listen to non-guitar players. And the third one is, again, expanded repertoire. Learn some songs. I mean, I did learn a lot of songs when I was in bands, but what I did was I learned the songs in terms of just the guitar parts. I never really understood that because I wasn't playing a lot of solo guitar. It was just like, everything from. So a lot of that rock stuff. Okay, so those are just chords. And it's like, yeah, I can play the song, but you can't really play the song. So learn a little bit of expanded repertoire from beginning to end, and just not the way they were written. So almost like, develop that. So again, the three things I wish I did better was really get a better understanding of music theory at the base level, listen to non-guitars, and expanded repertoire. So all right, so those are the three things I think I wish I had done better. So the things I think I did right was I learned by ear, ironically enough. So even though I didn't learn to read music until later on, so growing up, I had a cassette, and I wore several cassettes out. And so there was no YouTube and nobody like breaking things down. I always found the tab books that would show how somebody did a solo weird, where it would be like a 12th fret and an arrow pointing up, and you couldn't figure that out. So I worked my ears really hard by trying to figure out songs. And ironically enough, I could never really learn a whole solo. So that actually helped me with improvisation. So if you took like the solo to Stairway to Heaven, I could go. So I could get like the opening, maybe 5, 10 seconds again, and I could figure out sometimes the whole solo. Don't get me wrong, but I would just go off of my own and keep it within that key. And that helped me a lot with my ears, and it also helped me with my improvisation. So learning to play by ear. So a lot of people just learn the music, or they're learning on the internet and they're just following notes. So they're not developing their ears. So their hands look good and they can actually play the solo, but they haven't developed their listening skills by figuring out solos. So I guess in the jazz parlance, it's called transcribing. So I did a fair share of that stuff, and I did that not only once I got a little bit better, I did that not only for guitar players, but for non-guitars and things of that nature. So that was that. So learn to play by ears. Figuring solos out by ears, I think that's also very good. And also, too, the one thing I think I did well was I played a lot of acoustic guitar. I learned to play in church. That was the first avenue of learning to play the guitar. So I was on a Yamaha. I don't know what it was. So I learned a lot of acoustic. And I think everybody should own an acoustic. You don't have to be a fingerstyle player or anything of that nature, but it's like lifting weights. You just get better technique playing acoustic guitar, even if you then go to electric, as opposed to the other way around. So you just learn you learn how to phrase the guitar better. It's usually a little bit more difficult to get around an acoustic. So your left hand becomes better, your right hand becomes better. And the last thing I think I did right was at one point I started playing with my fingers, developing some level of fingerstyle play. You then approach the full spectrum of the guitar. You don't have to be a classical guitarist or anything of that nature, but just learning to play fingerstyle is going to show some independence. You can play counterpoint. It's going to help you a lot. So, all right then. Sorry for this long-winded little tidbit, but happy Easter again, and everybody have a great Sunday. Bye now.